こんにちは。英語コーチの生田カオリです。私はアメリカのオレゴン州ポートランドという町で英語コーチングをしています。今日は英語コーチング仲間の、アイコ・ヘミングウェイさんに来てもらっていますので、アイコさんの英語の上達についていろいろ聞いていきたいと思います。アイコさんよろしくお願いします。
はい、かおりさんよろしくお願いします。
All right, welcome to this show. And first of all, I'd like the audience to know about you. So please, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Aiko Hemingway, and I moved to the US when I was 23 years old from Japan. And at that time, I didn't speak English well, and I didn't understand what native English speakers were saying, and I couldn't build simple sentences. So that was my start, and I immediately noticed that I needed to work on pronunciation. So I started focusing on learning pronunciation closely, and then learned linguistics. And then later I learned breathing and dynamic aspect of the human voice through singing and choir. And now I help other Japanese speakers who are struggling in an English environment because they are expected to have good English pronunciation.
Thank you. They are expected to have a good English level. That is really important point. So thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so today I'd like to interview you. I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask you so that audience can learn about how to improve their English from your experience. All right, the first question is, what were your challenges for speaking English and communicating with local people after you came to the US?
So for me, because my English level was so low, I did not understand what they were saying, even one word. And I was really shocked to learn that I didn't really understand even easy words or simple words like I am going to. Like I was taking classes at a community college, and then I didn't understand what teachers were saying at all, right? And then I didn't understand what students were saying at all. And then, I noticed that teachers use the word amena. Okay, so amena da 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 da, amena da 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 da, right? I started hearing amena, amena, amena. And then I was like, what is amena? And then I asked native English speakers, friends, and then I asked them, what is amena? And then they were like, what? And then I couldn't find out what it is, right? So I didn't know what teachers were saying. And then I was one day watching a movie, and I was using that movie to do the dictation work. And then that person in that movie said, and I was like, what is it? And I put the caption, English caption, and then it said, I'm gonna. I was shocked that I knew that what amena or I'm gonna or I am going to was, right? So easy. This is something that we all learn in the English education in Japan, but then I couldn't hear it, and it took me for a while to figure this out on my own because my friends didn't understand me. I didn't know how to communicate with the teachers at school, and then finally found out through this video during my dictation work. I was really shocked how sound was different, how different the actual sounds were comparing to what I knew. So from that moment, I decided not to have the filter anymore. So I focused on the sounds from that moment. So that's how I was struggling, and that's how I was working on my pronunciation or the English overall, because at the beginning I could not communicate with anyone first.
Thank you for sharing that. I thought you were so bold to come to the US when you couldn't understand words. So that's pretty brave, I would say. And then you gradually started focusing on the sound and without filtering it, right? Okay, so that could actually lead to your answer, but how did you overcome those challenges? You mentioned to do the dictation for one movie, but how did you overcome it?
So to add some information, so my English level was low, but then I also knew that I wanted to use English all the time. So I researched while I was in Japan and checked which community colleges did not have Japanese students. So I actually called those community colleges and then asked them, how many Japanese students do you have? How many Japanese students do you have? And then one community college said, oh, we don't have any Japanese students. So I'm like, okay, so this is it. So I applied for this community college. And then, yes, actually it turned out there were few Japanese students besides me. But then every time I enrolled in classes, I was the only Japanese, or I was the only international student in almost all classes that I took. So you can probably imagine me being in that space, not knowing about English or not being able to speak or understand English, and everyone else is a native speaker. So they don't slow down for me. They don't give me any handicap. They don't give me any easy tasks. They treated me as the same as other native English speakers. So I really like that environment. But then at the same time, I struggled a lot. So in order to overcome the situation, I spent a lot of time dictating movies or songs, like hip-hop songs or any type of songs. Sometimes I spent like 10 hours just listening to something. You can see that's how low my English level was at that time. So I did that for 1.5 years, and I actually memorized one movie from the beginning to the end. And then it took me about 1.5 years to do that. But after that, my level became better, and then I was able to make friends through music, which is a universal language, right? So I play piano, so I was playing piano all the time in the piano room, and people just come and hey, what do you play? So they, even though I couldn't speak English well, they became curious about me because I play piano well, and then they invite me to different music groups in town. And like when I knew I had so many musician friends in town, and then my English level didn't matter to them because we were able to communicate through music. And then they helped me improve my English too. So I felt that I developed some communication skill other than just languages. And then I put myself into the situation where I needed to speak English from the morning to the night, and then I started seeing dreams in English when I couldn't really understand the English. I kept seeing dreams where I didn't understand what they were saying because they were saying it in English. So I started doing that consistently for 15 years. And then my level became just better and better each year.
Wow, the commitment for 15 years and consistency is so crazy. I think a lot of people don't try to listen to English from morning to night. It could be a couple of hours a day. And yeah, a lot of people ask me, how can I improve my listening skills? And then when I ask them, what do you do? How long do you do it? And usually it's very limited time. And you are a really good example. Some people like right here do that from morning to night, right? And imagine you're one of the very few Japanese students in the town or university, so that all you hear was English. So it's just a lot of English sounds always around you, so that you even had a dream in English, even you didn't understand, you're in your sleep. That was interesting to hear that. Wow.
I started seeing dreams in English 3 months after I moved to the US. So that's how much I was using English.
Okay, so maybe some audience might be curious, what motivated you, or how were you able to keep going to do the dictation? For one movie itself is a lot for a lot of people, and they give up, right? But you did songs, and it's not just the one movies. So how did you do that?
I guess at that time I wanted to change my life, and maybe like I was looking for something. I felt like maybe 23 years old is the time you think about your life, and then I was not okay with the life that I had. So I was like really struggling to find what I can do or what my possibilities are at that time, I guess. So maybe that's why.
Okay, that's great to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing. That is really commitment for 15 years. Okay, next question. What's your challenge at your level now? Do you have any English challenges?
Yes, actually, I just came back to Japan not too long ago, so maybe I've been in Japan for 3 months now, and I live in Sapporo with my husband right now, and it's my husband's first time living in Japan, by the way. So we're having a lot of different things now. And then when we wanted to when we wanted to come to Japan, I decided that I will keep my English level here, and I'm not gonna be okay to have my English level going down. So I started making the English environment for myself, even when I live in Japan. So right now I am a member of Toastmasters group in Hawaii and taking a higher leadership role. Like I became an executive director in that group in Hawaii, and that's a big commitment for anyone who speaks English natively. So it could be more challenging for me speaking English as a second language, right? But then I'm really committed to serving that role. And then I applied for TEDx talk in California. So I practiced so much from April, and then I just gave the speech 3 weeks ago. And then I realized that I practiced so much that English has become part of me. I totally felt that English has become part of me. And then how I measured it was when I got sick this year, and also last year I got sick, and then I was in bed with a high fever, and then like really struggling. It's so hard to breathe, and it was just so hard for me. All I could do was lying in bed, right? But even then, I was able to think in English. I was able to communicate with my husband in English. Before that, I couldn't do it when I was tired or when I was sick. my brain did not want to use English because it takes so much more calories to use and understand English. But now, when I'm even really tired or sleepy or really grumpy, hungry or angry, I can still use English, and then it became part of me. So that's how that's where I am right now, and then I'm really committed to keeping it.
Right. Do you have any besides doing the Toastmasters club, maybe talking to your husband, what else are you trying to do to keep your English? Because I remember when I was visiting Japan for like a month, even I try to use English, I try to listen to it, I try to talk to myself, but still, especially I was in the house with my parents, and they watch Japanese TV all the time, and they talk to me in Japanese, which is okay, but it just Japanese language comes to me with the high speed and like all the time. So I struggle. And then when I came back to Portland in the airport, I noticed my mouth is like going back to Japanese mouth, and it's like it's hard to come back, you know. How do you do that?
I know, I totally understand, because I moved to Japan in July, and then my husband and I went to California for my TEDx talk, and then as soon as we arrived in LA, I noticed that my voice was so quiet, because in Japan we have to speak quietly, right? But in the US you have to speak loudly, and then I really struggled. But after I switched the mode, I was okay. So in order to keep it, I usually take all notes, like any notes in English only. Like this is a note from Toastmasters. Like I take notes like this. Everything is written in English, and then when I write down my ideas or plans for my future or for my business, everything is written in English. So when I think about my plans or ideas, I think in English only. And then I don't watch TV. I don't. And then when we go out, or when I go out, I'm still thinking in English. So I guess that's how you need to commit to it, because your native language takes over your brain so easily, right? So I have to kind of have the resistance here.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. Even outside of your home, when you go to store, restaurant, you try to think in English. That's awesome. Yeah, it definitely needs a lot of commitment. And, you need to keep the momentum, because once it kind of slips and then you decided, oh, it's okay, I live in Japan, it's the language, I talk to my parents and it's Japanese, but once you kind of give up, everything falls down, I think. So I love the commitment again. Okay. All right. So the last question, okay, what do you think Japanese need to work on if they work or live in an English environment? Especially you were in the US or Canada for more than 20 years, and you had a lot of experiences. So what do you think we need to work on?
For me, learning pronunciation was the most effective thing. So I would recommend everyone to learn pronunciation from now. So when I focused on pronunciation, my listening skills improved too. I can hear more sound because I can create more sound, right? And then when my listening skills are better, I hear more words and phrases by listening. So my grammar skills got better, and then everything got better after my pronunciation got better. So that is my recommendation. And then try to like you create your environment for yourself to speak more English, right? You not just increasing, but you constantly use English, right? So for me too, like I create the environment for myself to give speeches, give presentations, to do a volunteer work in the US, or like any opportunities that come, I always get them. Like I don't say like, I don't know if I'm gonna, I don't know if I'm good enough or not. When they hear me say it, they'll be like, okay, so Aiko is not confident. Okay, so I will ask someone else. So I won't let that happen. So whenever some opportunities come, I say, okay, I've never done this before, but I will do it. And please guide me like this, right? So I take all the opportunities that come, and then try to create the environment for myself to challenge myself to go higher all the time, so that I can keep going and then I can keep improving every single day. So that would be my suggestion. Create the environment for yourself.
Okay, create the environment for yourself and take the opportunities to the challenges. That is amazing. Because we tend to be very picky about like which opportunity to take, which role to take, right? If we were scared, we don't want to do it. It's a human nature. But I really feel that you pick any opportunities, or as many opportunities as you can, by taking the opportunities and doing it, then you will notice, okay, I need to improve my English more. That was not enough. You have a lot of realization, but if you don't do anything at all, if you are picky and only do comfortable things, you never realize that, right? You think your English is okay. So that is great. And by listening to your suggestions, I thought it's all up to us, taking the opportunities or creating the environment. It's everything that we can do. It's not like some special method, or it's not like somebody needs to create it for us. It's just up to us. So that was a really strong message. Thank you. Okay, lastly, if people are interested in taking your course or learning from you, how can they find you?
Yes, so I have pronunciation programs like group coaching and private coaching, which is advanced level. And then I have a learning material, but I want everyone to try out my free material first. I shared very valuable concepts, 3 concepts in this free workshop video that took me 22 years to really understand, and I am giving it for free. And I think it's the best stuff. That is my best stuff in it, but I want everyone to experience that first. But I am speaking English only in some parts. So your level needs to be at an advanced level. If you understand what we are saying right now, your level is perfect. And it's not for beginners or intermediate people, or it's not for Japanese people who don't need English. This is specifically for Japanese speakers who are advanced English learners and who are already working in an English environment, and you are required to have high level pronunciation skills. So this workshop will help you if you are in this category. So I want to share this free material, but it's really valuable. So please check it out.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I will put the link in the description below. So if you're qualified for that and interested and then love to learn from her, please check out the link below. All right, thank you so much, Aiko-san, for coming to my channel today. It was so nice talking to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, bye.
Bye.